And welcome once again to the Movies and Stuff Show. My name is Dan. Joining me this week, Marty and Jamil.
There was a new Star Wars trailer yesterday, guys. I don't know if you saw that.
Nope.
No.
What's a Star Wars?
What the fuck is, yeah.
It's a thing with the universe and forces.
Never heard of it.
So Star Trek?
Yeah, Star Trek, right?
Sons of bitches.
Blade Runner?
Right, we got
right? That's what you're talking about. We
Blade
saw
Runner,
the movie Blade Runner, Marty.
Blade Runner. It's like Blade Runner, but with people that go and see it.
Burn.
Such mean girl.
Burn. So, already in discussion, we got Talia. She wanted to be part of the discussion because she saw it.
Hey, Talia, how you doing?
Detective D, staying up late, waking up early, hanging out with us. We'll see how long he goes into the show before he conks out. And Gorkwil is very excited about Star Wars. He's saying it's the most anticipated film of the year for him.
Really?
Yeah, he's saying that he can't live without Star Wars and that he wants to go see it with you, Marty.
I mean, I bought tickets already, so if he wants one.
So Gorkwil should have a date with Marty to go see Star Trek 8, right?
It is 8, yes.
Star Trek 8. Yep.
Star Trek 8, yeah. The search for another Spock.
We'll get to that later. We'll
that will be later.
We'll get to some of that stuff later. I think we will first start off with we saw Blade Runner 2049. We talked about last week. We talked about regular Blade Runner. This is
some excitement, Dan.
Blade Runner 2, Electric Boogaloo. It's funny too. I had a conversation about Blade Runner in general, and this didn't really come up on last week's episode, and of how much of a niche audience this actually has. Like, it's very renowned as this great science fiction film, but in essence, it's got a niche following. It doesn't have this huge following. So for the studios to say, we're gonna put a lot of money to doing a sequel to this film that didn't make as much money originally as Tron did. That didn't make as much money as The Dark Crystal did. And
that Tron sequel did real well.
And maybe we'll get into also how this was marketed, or how this wasn't marketed.
That's a big part of my problems with this thing.
So we'll get into that. Quick plot synopsis. Marty, you want to do a quick plot rundown of what Blade Runner 2049 is, since the trailers obviously didn't tell us what it's going on.
This is the problem with this movie. To talk about the plot is kind of to talk about spoilers. Because they did such a weird job with the marketing. I tweeted out a trailer that they put out. They promoted the movie yesterday. I tweeted out, and if you watch that trailer, you would think that this is a kind of war movie or something. Like, we talked last week, and we predicted that it would just kind of be a soft reboot, which it wasn't. I will give it credit for that. It was a continuation of the story. It, worked as a sequel, and we thought it'd be a lot of action, and there was very little action. And if you the trailer I posted yesterday, you would come out of that trailer thinking, all right, this is a movie about there's going to be some kind of, Jared Leto's character is creating this replicant army, and the LAPD Blade Runners have to stop it, and we need to go get Harrison Ford's record character to fight him off. And it's nothing close to that.
Like that.
Nothing close. And that's fine. We talk all the time about trailers kind of, giving away too much of the plot, but this was almost a complete swerve of the plot. And you make a movie that I'm almost having the same feeling about this movie that I had about that we talked last week, is that it's fine, but if you didn't love the original, I don't think you would love this. Most of the people that I've seen that love this movie were fans of the original. And it's hard to kind of sell this movie to someone who didn't love the original.
Jamil, did you love the original?
Oh, we talked about this. I seen the original. I was like 18 for the first time. Thought that shit was boring. Like I feel bad for saying that because like it's a movie you're supposed to love, and maybe if I see it now, I will love it. But like at 18, I just didn't. I have all 5 cuts in a Blu-ray case. I felt no interest to go back and watch it. Maybe I will now.
I think you would need to have revisit. We revisited last week, and I think that helped the viewing experience. But again, if you weren't a huge, like I said, we're going to talk about the plot, and I guess the plot is a spoiler because they hid a lot of the plot. And the plot, of course, is that Ryan Gosling's character is a replicant, Blade Runner, and he's forced. He's going. It's a lot of the same, kind of the same idea as the first one, where he's got to go find these rogue replicants that are out there and retire them, the same way Harrison Ford did in the first one. But then it kind of takes this whole right, and it's hard to say it's a spoiler because it's the first 10 minutes of the movie. You find that out right away, so it's not a secret in the movie. But it's just going into this movie, I wouldn't have thought that at all. I thought he was just a cop, Blade Runner, like Harrison Ford wasn't. But then even that is still up in the air. That huge mystery. So he has to go find the replicants, and when he does, he discovers that Rachel from the first movie was pregnant. And so now the whole world kind of turns on this idea that can replicants give birth and what that does to our society when we discover that. And that's then that's the whole movie, really.
And there's 3 groups essentially vying for Rachel in a way. Well, one group has her and is protecting her.
Yeah.
One group wants to destroy her for,
the child,
and then one wants to exploit and mass produce. Well, I guess two factions want to mass produce. One wants to mass produce to create an army to essentially overthrow the establishment, and one wants to mass produce to have slave labor. But it wasn't.
I'm not even. Yeah, it was. I think I'm not even sure it was overthrow the establishment, but just kind of say that they're equal. It was it's kind of a fight for equality kind of idea where if we can have we can reproduce on our own, then we have a soul. They brought that up a lot, and so that they can be their own, they can make their own decisions and have their own lives. And then Jared Leto's character, who was the Tyrell version of this movie on a larger scale, I would say.
He's Wallace,
just one,
right?
Yeah, Wallace.
Yeah,
and he he essentially created the modern world that they now exist in. So he wants to just.
What is he doing in this movie?
He's being Jared Leto, really.
He's not being the Joker, at least.
I think that might be really Jared Leto's house that they filmed this in, because
I could see him have those little things flying around him and getting into people's faces. Yeah,
I could see him wanting to live in a pyramid somewhere and just kind of walking around. So yeah, he created like 9 outer worlds. I think that's what they said. But again, they don't go into a lot of that, which there were parts of the Blade Runner story that I think are better stories than what they tell. There's a larger story here where they only focus on this one LA kind of scene, which I'm not sure why they continue to do that. So yeah, he's built 9 worlds, and he said, "Oh, that's not enough for him. He wants to keep going." And with any genius, I guess he just goes mad in a sense. But again, he's almost like a Steve Jobs type character, I suppose, in this world where he created, so much of what they do now. But
I actually heard the comparison. He's not Steve Jobs. He's the guy that runs Samsung. I heard that comparison today. As in Tyrell in the first movie is actually Steve Jobs, and here comes this guy who's not quite as smart, so he's like twice as brutal.
Oh man!
So that's the comparison I heard today. That he's actually the Samsung guy, someone who's smart but not as smart as the guy he's trying to be.
So, do we like this movie, Jamil? Do you like this movie?
Considering that I've seen it twice, 1.5 times, you know what? I don't know if it's the glut of superhero movies that I'm not forced to see, but I mostly see because I have a family. But yeah, I think I kind of I don't know if I love it, but I really do like this movie. I definitely like it better than the first Blade Runner. I think it's long as shit. But, it's kind of a tone poem, but I really do I finished watching this movie today, and I'm still thinking about it and the questions that it asks. I don't know if I love it, but I do like it.
Marty, do you like it?
There are parts I enjoyed. The acting is really well done. Ryan Gosling, while uneven at times, is very good. It's a good premise. I enjoy the premise, the idea of the movie. Again, like we touched on last week, and like Jamil mentioned, you can cut 20 minutes out of this movie so easily, and I think it'd be a lot better. Like it's 2 hours 45 minutes, and it feels it. And like I saw it on a Saturday morning because I knew if I saw it at night, I wouldn't have made it through. So I guess
interesting.
I think, like I said, I think fans of the original will love it, just like the original. I mean, that's why it didn't make a lot of money. It made its number one at the box office, but I've read that it cost anywhere from 150 to 200 million, and it only made 32 or so this weekend. Yeah. And it's the word of mouth. It got good reviews, but it's hard to sell people on going to see this unless they really love the original.
Again, like I said, it's the sequel to a movie nobody cared about in the first place. It's a sequel to a flop movie nobody cared about in the first place.
Very few people care. I mean,
yes.
Again, the same thing.
You're right.
There's
about 30 people care. 30 people care. Say it's the greatest movie ever, and they made it for those 30 people. That's fine.
$32 million worth of people enjoy it. I'm in a similar boat as Jamil. I can't say that I loved it, but I really did like it, and I liked a lot of the elements to it. And the one thing I disagree with you, Marty, is I'm trying to think of where, and maybe you can tell me, where you think that they could cut stuff out. I honestly felt that I don't know, man. I honestly felt that it worked for a 2 hour 45 minutes. I don't know. I felt that it was good, and I felt that the pacing suited the film. I can't think of anything that needed to be cut, and I went to go see it at 10 p.m. at night, and I was there until 1 a.m., and there was never a point where I was like, this is dragging. Like, I was self-aware going into it, this is a long movie. So periodically I was checking my watch to see, okay, what time is it? Just to kind of gauge where we are in the movie. But there was never a moment where I felt it's like this is dragging, or you should cut this. Like, I'm trying to think back to like, what would you cut out? I think as the whole story unfolds, it works.
It's not so much cutting. But some of the scenes are just so stretched out. Like Ryan Gosling is just moving at a snail's pace during some of these scenes, where it's like, all right, just get there. Like
that's old style movie making, though, man.
I guess, but it's just
shots used to linger. I mean, that was the whole Orson Welles thing. You just let something just play out, just linger, wait for a while. And I think Denis Villeneuve has this old school filmmaker mentality. He paid a lot of homage to the original in regards to how this was shot. Some of these shots were just beautiful when he's walking through Vegas for the first time, and it's just like this sandstorm, and it's just like desolate. And
I enjoyed the like almost Sodom and Gomorrah kind of feel we got from that, because I get we don't get a great sense of what the world is going through right now. They keep talking about this blackout that happened. I guess the world went black for what they say 20 days or something. Mm-hmm. And then it's not clear how much of the world came back online, almost, because the cities are still okay. But once you go outside the cities, it's pretty desolate. There's a big wall blocking the ocean, which still speaks to the environment problems that they talked about in the original. Mm-hmm. And, they keep talking about how if, replicants can be reborn, then the world will end or the world will change. But they never really say what the world is like. Like, is there a president anymore? Is LA in connection with the rest of the country? Is it everyone for themselves at this point? They kind of keep talking about these passes to the outer world. So is that everyone trying to get off Earth as it is? So it's kind of hard to say the world is going to change, but we don't really know what shape the world is in outside this kind of 5 or 6 people we see in this movie.
Jamil, I was gonna ask you, is this something that you feel that they probably felt that they were going to get a third movie? Because they're not. They're not.
There's
now.
all type of There's all type of unanswered questions and setups. I mean, to be fair, they do it better than most movies. Most movies is plainly obvious, but like here, you could almost leave it as it is. But if you know what you're looking for, there's definitely a setup. Like they don't resolve the Jared Leto character at all, despite them making him a big deal. They don't resolve the ending of the movie. Like the movie kind of ends in a frustrating place. Like emotionally satisfying, but plot wise, it just ends like in a weird place, and like I don't understand the significance of it whatsoever. Like him, are we spoiling?
Yeah.
At this point,
Him beating his daughter, I don't understand what the big deal was besides it being like an emotional thing. Like, because like they bring all these things about uprisings and do these things have souls. So, but like the end game of the movie is just him meeting his daughter, and it turns out. So like, there's definitely like set up for a third movie. They really thought, but you can take this as it is. Like,
I wasn't even sure they set up enough that Harrison Ford's character even cared that much about meeting his daughter. Like, it seemed like he'd kind of just checked out on that when they had the baby in secret, and they had to hide the fact that they did that. So Harrison Ford had to kind of go into hiding. Rachel, I'm assuming they don't say it, but we assume that she died in childbirth.
That's pretty much. I think that's pretty much exactly what happened. Yeah.
And so they had, he had to kind of hook up with this, I guess, a kind of a replicant rebel, kind of gang unit, it seems, to hide the child. And that's where Ryan Gosling character comes in, where he spends half the film. Did you guys at any point think he was the child? Because that's what he thinks for most of the film. Did you see the swerve come?
I was hoping that they weren't going to go the obvious route, like the Great White Hope route of here's the obvious, white male guy. That's the hidden, it's the Star Wars route of oh, Luke, I am your father. Like, I was hoping that they weren't going to go that way. I had some doubts at some point. But I enjoyed the fact that they didn't go that way.
It would have been hard to do with Harrison Ford, considering he's also so synonymous with Star Wars. To do that would be kind of just a little too spot on. Because even him in this, it's a little too much like him going back in Force Awakens already. Mm-hmm. So they had to change it. They had to change it a little bit.
I really like what they did with that because if you look at the movie, he has one emotion the whole fucking movie, and he has that fucking what's his name? What's his name?
Who?
He has Ryan. He has the same Ryan Gosling face through most of the movie.
Yeah.
And like,
well, they called him K, and then
you see in the you see in the movie that like he's told that he ain't shit the whole fucking movie. Like, nobody likes him. The police he worked with doesn't like him. Then the only time you see him lose his shit is when the girl says these memories are real. Mm-hmm. And you finally see him lose his shit because, he's been told his whole life that he ain't shit. Come to find out that, yes, he is special, that he is this quote-unquote chosen one. And then when they reverse it again and to find out that he's not, and he has to process that, I really think that was like a really cool thing because he has
good acting. Some really good acting from that point on of Gosling, like having those just like, I still have to do the right thing even though my heart has kind of been ripped out of me,
Yeah, exactly. Like it's I really do love that turn there because it absolutely sets up like, oh, he's the savior. Like when you say he had the dream of the inscription, I'm like, the inscription is gonna have that date on there because he freaked out when he seen it. Like I figured that, but yeah, I do like that they did that, and they can only work in a 3-hour movie.
And I like that Rachel implanted the memories, just random memories into the replicants to further hide herself, like giving them these memories to help. That was part of the ruse, essentially, was she was putting these memories into different replicants so they actually could think that maybe they were the chosen one. It's kind of a fucked up thing to do, but when it comes to like saving your own ass, it's pretty smart,
What was her name also? You keep the daughters. Did they get her name? Or the girl?
I keep calling her Rachel.
Yeah, you keep calling her Rachel.
But it's not Rachel. The daughter's name is
they
not
say
Rachel.
something. I mean, a lot of the dialogue in this movie is kind of muddled. So.
Yeah, the daughter does have a name. I have been calling her Rachel, but Rachel was the original.
Who makes a small cameo.
How'd you like the special effects, Marty? You've been highly critical of some of those special effects. Those actually look pretty good to me.
That was very good, but it was
those
fun.
Are the best.
I wanted to make a comment about that as far as we're talking about the kind of a theme of this week is sexism towards women, and it's just funny that Edward James Olmos gets to come back in this movie, and he's kind of celebrated as an older actor. Harrison Ford gets to come back in this movie, and he's celebrated as an older actor. Sean Young, we get to see her a computer screen of what she looked like in the 80s. We don't, the older female actress doesn't get to come back in these movies.
Isn't she the one that went crazy with the Catwoman thing?
Yeah, she went a little nuts.
Yeah, that's probably why. That's probably why more than anything else.
But it's just funny that we get the two older male actors, but the star female of the movie gets to come back just the way she looked back in the 80s.
Is she the star though? I thought Deborah Hannah was more the star woman than she was.
It was pretty split, I guess. Hannah also is kind of gone now, so we don't get to bring her back either. There's one
But
scene.
you talk about sexism. The most badass character in this movie is a woman. And even though most of the women don't talk to each other and they do talk to a man, I thought every woman in this movie is very interesting. Like every woman is compelling, interesting. Like actually probably more compelling than some of the male leads.
I assume you're talking about Love, the Jared Leto's assistant, I guess we're calling her.
I mean, not just her, like her.
Because she was the highlight for me. She was great.
The police chief, the
Robin
female
Wright.
replicant, they're all like interesting female characters. If you want to talk about the, progress.
Because Gosling is not married, but lives with some kind of. It's almost like the movie Her, but come to life. I guess you would want to say. It's far like he basically lives with Siri or Alexa, I guess in some kind of human form. Mm-hmm. And so that was interesting. That worked well. I mean, she looked. I didn't enjoy the scene where, I guess she goes into the other woman so they can have sex.
Well, she's just kind of screened over the other woman.
Yeah, that was just that didn't work as well for me because it was just kind of.
I liked it. I really thought this movie was like visually. I think this might be one of the best movies I've ever seen. Like visually wise, like it's very striking. Like every 2 or 3 scenes is something like I've never seen before, and it's just it's really amazing. And let me ask you guys a question: do you think she was sentient?
It's hard to tell because they kind of make it seem like she's special for him, but she's also could be special for anybody. Is that just how she's trained to be? And even there was the kind of a swerve that Jared Leto throws at Harrison later in the movie, where it's like, well, did Rachel love you, or did you really love Rachel, or were you trained to do that? And it's kind of that moment where kind of fucks with his whole idea of what's happened. That was probably his best scene in the movie because he threw me at the beginning because he's sold, of course, because he's Harrison Ford and he's sold in trailers, but he's not in a lot of this movie. They don't get to see him maybe till an hour and a half into the movie, 2 hours until they get to him. And for a while, it's hard. He doesn't really resonate for me as the character. He's just still Harrison Ford there for a while, especially in that weird Vegas scene where they're fighting in this kind of, I guess, abandoned casino, and this weird the Elvis holograms and the Marilyn Monroe holograms keep popping up. It just when they were fighting like that, they stopped being the characters for me, and they just were. It was just Harrison Ford and Ryan Gosling in a fist fight kind of. So that was the one part but he gets better as his part goes on.
Does he?
His interaction with Jared Leto I thought really worked. And that kind of
my problem is that he's the only person dressed like he's from the 20th century, and he essentially does all his scenes in his pajamas.
Yeah.
Well, like everybody else got on these cool futuristic clothes, and he's dressed like it's 2016.
Well, he's essentially been in hiding, I assume, for that whole time, right? I mean.
Mm. And by the way, her name was Anna. Was
Anna?
The daughter's name was Anna. I just found it.
But she had one. She only had the one scene really in the movie. So
2, right?
Well, at the end they just show her.
Which is funny because she was working for Leto, right? Like she worked for Wallace.
I guess that's what they didn't really explain. Like
that's
she's
what it seemed like. She was the one that was giving the replicants memories. She was subcontractor essentially for Wallace to put these memories into.
I got a weird Watchmen vibe with that scene because it's kind of like the end of Watchmen when they're in this secluded, snowy kind of just nothingness, and that's kind of where she is basically.
So in the chat, D is basically saying that that threesome scene kind of felt like Ghost.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
Yeah.
But they didn't fuck around with that scene and give you kind of glimpses of Whoopi Goldberg at the same time. That would have ruined that movie.
Talia's asking about the badass female replicant who, she kicked some ass.
Yeah, she was a kind of a
really
she
good.
Stole the movie.
Yeah,
and she was
a really good fight scene too. Really, I enjoyed that with the water and where they're essentially drowning each other. Like,
That was the only thing. Again, with that scene, like it was. Where were they going? It was just kind of. I didn't understand what was happening there. Like they interrogated Harrison Ford. Was trying to get him tell him where the daughter is. He wouldn't tell him, and so they're taking him somewhere to tell him. So they'll or kill him. It was really.
Yeah.
And why did they leave?
Torture.
Why did they leave Kay alone?
Like twice. She left him twice. To basically, it's like, he's kind of dead. Twice, because they left him in Vegas where he was like, he's kind of hurt. Let's just leave him here. He's not going to get back. And then, it's like, I stabbed him. That's good enough. He's not going to. So,
I mean, because she's a cold-blooded type. I mean, we saw her kill a couple people during the movie with basically one blow. Right. I mean, I guess it's different killing a human. I guess it's hard. It's easier for them. But she kills Robin Wright Penn. Savagely.
So let's get.
But is she cold-blooded though? Because like even her character is interesting.
They're cold-blooded towards humans. We even see that in the original. We saw that where they can kill humans without really thinking. But I guess they don't. It's harder for them to kill their own.
Because she cries a couple of times in the movie.
Well, she was like obsessed with being the best. It seemed throughout, and I guess that was her whole focus. And so when she beat up Ryan Gosling there, she kind of said she's the best. But then when she's dying, I guess she felt something. It's kind of the same way in the original where the other guy dies at the when he's dying at the end, he cries and the whole.
Well, no, she dies when the replicant comes out the fucking bag of what the fuck that shit was. She cries. Then she cries at another point. Like she seems to have emotion, and apparently things are not supposed to have emotions. Like it's just robots having emotions all over the place. They're not supposed to have emotions.
Well, it seems like they have emotions toward each other, but not towards any other. Not towards the humans.
So the big question, of course, which is still unanswered, is Deckard a replicant?
Yeah, we talked about that last week, where we assumed it would just be assumed in this that he was.
And they kept it a mystery again. Yeah. And they used certain things like, there's the one was like, it's like, well, you were designed to be there. So it made you think, he's a replicant. And then it's just like, no, we're going to keep this a mystery. Like and because again, it comes down to the fact that Ridley Scott said, yes, he's a replicant. And he recut the movie to make it appear so. Harrison Ford's like, nope, not a replicant. Yeah. And now the creators of this movie are basically saying like, we wrote it as if he's not a replicant. Like we approached it that way.
Well, there was a funny scene between Gosling and him at the after they were done fighting, and Record's got this dog with him now, which is kind of fun. And Gosling asks him if the dog is real, and he's like, "Oh, ask him." So they played with it.
I still think it's a mystery. I think this movie and Blade Runner is better. If you can argue over it, I think a definitive answer one way or another
would have felt cheap. Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think when he starts giving them the quiz from the original, and like Harrison Ford, like Deckard, just getting kind of like angry about it. I felt like that was a great scene that kind of shows that poking almost not fun at it, but poking the bear of saying it's like, yeah, we're gonna keep this a mystery. You're gonna still have to keep guessing people.
Well, it kind of changes the whole idea of what the movie is, one way or the other. Is it two replicants that had a kid, or is it a human and a replicant that had a kid? So that
either way is a miracle. Like either way, it's amazing.
Also, Dave Bautista. I'm a little sad he only had the one quick scene in the movie.
Good scene.
He was good. Yeah,
I really liked him.
But he was another one who was heavy in the marketing and the trailer, and then it's like, oh, he's done in 2 minutes. Like,
As a fan of professional wrestling, as a person that didn't really like him when he was watching, it's so weird for me to be happy to see him like in a movie and for him to be so fucking good.
He's gotten a lot better. Yeah, like I saw one of his original movies where he might have still been wrestling and acting. It's like I saw it just randomly on cable once. He's just so bad. And then like he's been slowly getting. He's good in the Guardians movies. He's really good in this.
And what was so good about this, just in his scene, is he looks old and powerful at the same time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's really odd. Like, he looks like he was built, but like he has the face of an old man, and like he just looked world weary. And I really enjoy him. I would love to see him more in this movie.
And again, it's like, why are we killing that guy either? I know that like this is the job of the killing replicants, but he just seemed like he was out there on his farm, not bothering anybody. Like I in the original, we had to kill those guys because they were out there, killing people. That he was just off on his farm. Seemed like for 20 years, not bothering anybody.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. Like when they have the whole discovery of Deckard, and when Kay or Joe whatever finds him, and you kind of start getting that feeling of okay, well, now the hunter's being hunted, right?
Yeah.
Deckard was the original hunter, and now he's being hunted, and it didn't quite play out that way. Like I assumed that Harrison Ford was going to get killed, and he wasn't going to make it. And I was assuming that Ryan Gosling was going to take over the franchise, and again flipped, right? Because they set it up to it's like, okay, here it is. It's like Harrison Ford is going to die. He's the old guy again, and this is his franchise, and they really set it up for you to expect that, and then who's dead at the end? It's Ryan Gosling.
Are we sure he's dead?
Yeah, they pretty much confirmed it. They pretty much confirmed it. Yeah, the same thing though is if this was a big blockbuster success, they could have easily brought him back. But I think the fact that it's not doing well, they can say, yeah, he's dead. He's
but then you'd even have to bring someone else in if they did do a third one. You'd have to bring someone else in because you're not selling another movie on an older Harrison Ford and weird Jared Leto.
Yeah.
So you'd have to bring in another star somehow. I mean, I don't know. I don't see any market where this could get saved. I mean, there's a lot of movies this year that bombed here.
You think it's going to do well in China?
I just can't see how. Yeah,
no.
Because the original Blade Runner did quite well overseas, but it was a different market back then. And now I tend to think that this is a little too complicated for the Chinese audiences.
Yeah, the movies that are making big in China are, the Transformers and the Fast and Furiouses, and Pirates made a shitload of money overseas.
And while this was visually stunning, as you mentioned, it's not an action film. There's not a ton of stuff going on. It's a lot of dialogue. Yeah.
Not even so much dialogue.
No, just scenes. There's a lot of scenes. There's walking, I like the relationship scenes between Gosling and his hologram, if you will.
Joy. I think.
And I thought that was again predictable. Once he said it's like, well, once you load me to this this USB flash drive or whatever, once I'm on there, I could be gone forever. And once you knew that, it's like, well, she's dead.
And then it happened, then like it happened almost pretty quick and without any kind of fanfare.
I don't know. It was probably like an hour later for what I know.
but she was just in the car with him for a little while. Then she was just gone, and then you saw the flash drive on the floor, and someone stepped on it. Like, all right. And that was a good relationship in the movie. It was for the most. That was one of the few actual relationships.
Yeah.
A lot of everyone else pretty much on their own. Robin Wright Penn was an odd character. She kind of seemed to. She was the only person in the police station that did like Kay, and there was some kind of weird flirtation between them, but he kind of stayed away from it. And but that was odd. Again, like I said about not knowing what's going on in this world, it's like, is she just in charge of everything? It's like she's just. It seems like a police commissioner,
like lieutenant or something.
But she seems to carry a lot of weight in this.
Well, I think Jamil could tell you that the LA police force carries a lot of weight.
Yeah, seriously. No, but Marty, I mean, like, what do you want them to do? They can't explain the whole world to you. I feel like.
But when you're saying that the world is going to change because of this one thing that we found, and you don't establish what the world is,
I think they do. I think they absolutely establish what the world is.
You establish what LA is. Clearly.
I mean, I think that's the world, though. I mean, look, more people are leaving off planet. He had that wooden horse. The guy from Captain Phillips said, "Oh, this is real wood. You must be rich." I think all that is world building, establishing what the world is out as a whole.
If you talk about scenes that can get cut, that probably could have got cut. I can do away with that one. And there was about a half hour at the, I guess we're calling it an orphanage, that could have got trimmed down to about 10. But there's your 20 minutes.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
Again, even the guy who was the head of the orphanage, I saw him in a lot of trailers.
Yeah, Lenny James.
Like he was some kind of main player in this, and he's like there for 2 minutes. He was the Captain Phasma of this movie.
Well, maybe if they make another one. A lot of love in the chat for this movie, though. People saying that the costumes in the
I
movie
mean,
were
like I
really
said,
good, design.
if you love the original, you will really enjoy this.
But I think
I mean,
just
And
as
if
a
you just
film
if you
alone,
enjoy
it's a
cinema,
beautiful
yeah,
looking film. It's a
if
nice
you enjoy,
and
yeah.
but I do think that you have to know the first one. I think you have to appreciate it because, and let's talk about the marketing too, because I saw that thread you posted on Twitter. It's like nowhere in the trailers they explain replicants or to a general
Yeah.
audience. It's just you don't know what that is. You
It's
don't
just
know
kind of
that they're
And the issue is, we knew about this movie for a pretty long time.
yeah. I was
A
excited
lot
about it too, but
yeah.
again, like I knew about Blade Runner. The general
Yeah, but
audience might not.
people
You
know.
know, I think they should have
Don't know
kept Harrison Ford a secret.
You couldn't. I don't know about that, but you had to sell him differently. You couldn't. They made it seem like it was going to be a buddy, almost action flick between him and Ryan Gosling. Like Gosling was going to need him to do something, and they had to go find him to go, fight somebody, and it just wasn't it.
He doesn't
This
show up
is
until
my-
like almost like an hour and 45 in,
Well,
right?
That's my problem. I feel like it would. I feel better if it was a surprise because, like, he's in a movie. So at certain points, even if you okay with the movie's length, you check your watch like, okay, when's Harrison Ford coming?
Yeah.
If that shit just would have been a surprise, that would have been
He
amazing.
shows up at the very end on an island,
Doesn't
and
speak.
Ryan Gosling gives him a gun, and then that's it. It closes, and that's the end.
That would have worked. I would have felt more of that ending than this one.
I like the ending to. I mean, well, see, okay. So my issue with the ending is I think they didn't have to show. I did not think they had to show Harrison and the daughter together. I think showing Harrison walking in and Gosling dying on the steps, and that's the end of the movie, to me would have been the more powerful statement. But the fact is, then after they show Gosling dying on the steps, they go in and have that small sappy kind of moment between Harrison and Anna, and I mean,
And it's like, does she have to be in that bubble, or was that just a ruse on top of, because they do the whole, touching the screen, touching the thing. And
well,
does she know?
I mean, at that point, though, I guess if I'm
Does she
thinking
know
back,
who
that's
he
the
is?
reveal, though, right? Of who she
But
is,
how would
who
she,
the daughter
does
is.
she know who he is, though?
No, she's got to, yeah.
Well, how? She would have never met him. I mean, he left right when she was born, they
Yeah,
say.
but she seems to have connections with
Yes.
all the replicants or
Yeah, I guess.
or information and data. She's able to like flip her records or something, right? I mean,
Yeah, I didn't have the emotional feeling on that one. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess the emotion was there with Gosling's death, but then Harrison Ford hadn't given me any kind of inclination at that point that he was longing to meet his daughter. He had the moment when he saw the fake Rachel.
mm-hmm.
He had the moment there where he was, but
her eye color was wrong.
yeah, when he mentioned that was a great
That's
line.
great,
But-
great, yeah.
But when Kay comes to see him the first time and talks about the kid, he doesn't seem to, he's like, oh, I gave up on that. I'm like, all right, I'll go home then.
So some other questions though, I guess in regards to setting it up for another one is what's the deal with Wallace, right? I mean, it kind of was. The fact is, he wanted to breed replicants, right? That was his goal, and apparently the child was working for him, subcontractor role, whatever. I guess my question is just like, well, what's next for him? Like, at least with Tyrell, like Tyrell met an end in the original, and this one they, I don't know. Now that we don't get another one, it's just.
Is there another movie you can make in this universe that doesn't necessarily follow this exact storyline?
I don't
Would
know.
you care about that?
I don't know. And definitely not with just Leto as the star.
Yeah. But I mean, if you said, all right, what's going on, on one of these outer worlds, or what's happening everywhere else other than LA?
Did you guys get a Total Recall kind of vibe at some point during this film?
There's some of that. Yeah.
There's a little bit of a Total Recall vibe where it's just the implanting memories and unsure of what's real. And again, it ties back to Philip K. Dick, who wrote Total Recall and wrote Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep.
I got
a show
Westworld
coming out.
vibe.
Too.
What's up?
I forgot what I
said-
saw it on, but it's either Hulu or one of them where he's got a show coming out.
Well,
Not him, of course.
No,
but
well, he's got one on
another
Amazon.
adaptation.
Well,
Yeah,
there's
Amazon.
a big one. It's been, I think it's 2 or 3 seasons now. It's
it was a new one.
because the Man in the High Tower is a Philip K. Dick one.
Yeah, that's
pretty
been on, but
popular.
there's a new one. There's a new one coming.
Yeah,
I
he's-
think on
he's-
one
Called
of the other.
Electric Dreams.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I got like a real strong Westworld vibe since I had just watched that like not too long ago, and it's very similar ideas to this. So yeah, it's something about AI.
That also hurts it to an extent. I guess there's so much of this right now. For like you said, Westworld. We just had Ghost in the Shell, which kind of deals with similar things, and even that that didn't do well. Westworld was critically acclaimed, but again, not seen by a lot of people. I'm not sure if this genre is something people really want to get in on yet. It might be too real. I don't know if that's a good. It's like we know we might be heading to this, but and this I actually thought of this as I was watching it. It might be good if we ever come back to a kind of a list show. If there's any movie that we have like a rosy picture of the future, because I can't think of one where it's like
Star Trek.
I mean, in many ways, there's still bad stuff going on, but they've.
But so many
essentially-
movies we have see where it's like something horrible. Like we had, what was the one that Nolan did?
Interstellar.
Inception.
Interstellar. That was the Earth was going to shit. There's so many like every futuristic movie we've seen these days. Mad Max, of course, and.
I don't know, Marty. Have you looked outside? It's pretty shitty out there.
Yeah, it's
like.
it's not really the future. We're not
Like,
to 2049.
Like it's weird, right? Because like this movie get like our future technology wrong, but it sure does get everything else right about our future. I swear to God, it does.
Well, Sony and Coke are still around. Did you notice that?
I
They
did.
still had,
I saw those two. Nice
Hey,
ads.
what the hell happened in the video game wars that Atari got back on top?
Yeah,
Must have been a bloodbath between them.
I enjoy that in 2049 we still have ad placement. That was fun.
Yeah.
And the city was still kind of the same as far as the buildings look and the way the ads kind of come off the buildings. That was almost the same as the original.
I liked it. Yeah, I thought that was cool. When you had the giant naked woman at the end.
Which was joy. That was joy.
Yeah.
That makes it like, you can just train those to have those feelings. So it's hard to give any weight to their original relationship.
Maybe it's saying something, though.
Either way, I mean,
maybe it's saying something about love. We know a thing or two about love on this show. We've argued about love before.
It's
Don't.
Many a friendship.
All right, let's save some time for some stuff. Let's wrap up some Blade Runner talk. Any other final thoughts?
I think I'm gonna go see it again.
Yeah. Third time? Well, 2.5 times the charm.
Yeah, 2.5 times. 2.5 fucking times.
I saw it on a bad 3D, so if you are gonna go see it in one of these IMAX or the Dolby AM scenes. That's enjoy it on that level. It's worth you a few extra dollars to see it in something like that.
Hey, you seen it on 3D? Dan, how did you see it?
I saw it standard. I didn't see it in the Dolby. I saw it regular.
How was the type on the screen for you guys? Because I don't know if it was just my shit screen, but I could barely read.
Oh,
like,
no, it's fine. Yeah, all that stuff is fine.
I seen my Dolby Atmos without 3D because I hate 3D.
Yeah.
And you can tell this movie was shot for IMAX because right when he gets to Vegas, the fucking whole aspect ratio changes. Like most of the movie is the bars on top and the ceramic thing, big screen. Then once he get to Vegas, it fills up the complete screen. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but that was pretty cool.
I didn't notice.
All you're saying it's going to win an Oscar. I'm asking her for what?
Oh well, visual effects or
it'll be off that. I don't think they.
I win for visual effects.
I heard some people talking about Ford for a
cinematography,
supporting actor. I can't see that happening.
No, cinematography, music score was really good too. I thought that paid really good homage to the original Vangelis.
I thought it was better actually. I thought the music in this one was better. I guess it just wasn't 80s bullshit sound effects, so it's hard. It's easier.
You watch your mouth about the 80s. Oh, no, I'm just playing. Did you guys screen shake like was that like just a theater or was that like an effect of the movie? Like when the like heavy bass kicked in?
No,
No, I didn't get that.
Oh, because yeah, my screen shaked. Like when he found the horse in the furnace, like my screen was just shaking. Like, is that like an effect? Like I wasn't for sure. Like I wasn't for sure. Like because anytime because it's that one bass line that it hits anytime it's like something important, and my screen was shaking, and I wasn't for sure if that was the movie. Yeah.
All right, Marty, some stuff. What do you got?
Well, what do we want to start with? Do you want to talk trailers or you want to talk sexual harassment?
And I got a third topic too. So
okay,
let's start harassment. Let's start off with the fun topic.
Well, it's coming out almost dribs and drabs more every day with the Weinstein story that broke last week in the New York Times. Like it's weird to me because it's like it seems like everyone knew.
I'm shocked. I am shocked, Marty. I'm shocked and appalled that this is happening in Hollywood.
It's almost like the Bill O'Reilly thing, where it's like everyone knew about it, but it took the Times putting it all in print somehow for everyone to kind of put it all together. It sounds
worse than Bill O'Reilly. That's
it's worse, but it's like again, it's like we all knew Bill O'Reilly was sexually harassing people, but it's for some reason we had to read it all together at once to know it, and we all kind of knew Weinstein was kind of this overpowering dick in the world of Hollywood, and it just kind of went. And I don't understand. Like, there's so many women that came out. And I it's hard for us three jerk-offs to say anything about what women do. But like this, after the story came out, like Angelina Jolie came out and said some things, some major hitters in this industry, and like I feel like they could have said something and they would have been believed way before just this. So there was that, and bringing it a little closer to our little world here on the internet. I don't know if you guys are big fans of Screen Junkies, the guys who do honest trailers and movie fights.
Oh, I did see about that. Yeah.
Probably the biggest name in YouTube movie news and videos. The head of that, Andy Signore, got fired just like almost the same day or the day after the Weinstein story broke because he was sexually harassing.
And again, this
dichotomy is funny for me because like you have this heavy hitter in Hollywood, the big scale kind of guy, and even just this little kind of guy who's in charge of this big in his world, but not huge. But again, it's like anytime you give anybody some kind of power. I don't know if it's the power corrupts or the people are corrupted before they get into the power, but it brings it out of them. But it's just weird where no matter when you have someone in charge of other people, somehow horrible shit happens.
It's so strange to me, like with Harry knows. It's just like when you give nerds power who ain't probably never talked to women before they had power, it seems bad shit happens.
Yeah,
I know that's fucked up to say. I hate the nerd shame because I'm a nerd. I think we all type of nerds in one way or another. But it's fucked up because they look like the type of people that would definitely sexually harass women.
Especially with the Screen Junkies guy, not to be like pop psychiatrist, of course, but it's like he's probably seems like a guy who was a nerd, back in the 80s when it wasn't cool to be a nerd back yet, and then kind of this new wave of superhero movies and Star Wars and everything kind of makes it cool again. And you get this kind of power over this little world you created and they got like 7 million followers on YouTube. They were getting major, you were seeing them now at the press junkets doing major things with celebrities, and now it's like you get that power, and it's like all of a sudden and it's kind of the same thing that not anything overt, but it's just kind of crude messages and kind of like asking girls to come watch me, Jack. It's just like gross shit, and it's like I don't know why you think you get away with that kind of stuff.
It's so weird because it's just not this. Like back in the day, sexual harassment was like you say something inappropriate or you make one too many sex jokes. It's just like okay, like it just wasn't like like weird emails or some shit. Like motherfuckers jacking off in the plants, threatening to fire boyfriends if they say something. It's just all that. It's just these.
And then we
have to do better.
And we have to do better. When we're like you work in the digital world and you're in the digital age, that this shit like you can't text people that shit and email. That's just not going away. Right. So yeah, that was the big stuff. That was a couple of big stories last week that the world is still talking about.
Then we got 3 trailers?
3 big trailers. We had the big Last Jedi
See, you
last
brought the
night.
whole room down.
I mean, we had to talk about this stuff. Last Jedi came out last night. This week, the weekday before, we had the Justice League trailer, and on Friday we had the first look at the Pacific Rim sequel. I'll give my quick thoughts. So Pacific Rim looked oddly like some kind of Power Ranger movie. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't love the first one, and this one just seems odder. I mean, it's Boyega, so hopefully I'd like to see him do well. But
Boyega with the British accent.
Yeah, it had an odd tone. It was just weird.
This one actually looks better to me. Like, I like the first one for the visuals, but I find it oddly not emotional. I don't know. It's hard. Like, it just felt standoffish, cold.
It just felt like now it's just a big monster movie fight, which is fine.
Yeah, which I prefer. I prefer they look more like a Power Ranger. As a Power Ranger expert, I prefer they look more like a Power Ranger movie.
Justice League was kind of more of what we've already seen, which I'm fine. I mean, I'm accepting that this is going to be a shit show movie, but I'm really excited to see it. I don't know why.
What I noticed about that trailer is how much they took. They've completely taken off the Zack Snyder dark filter and brightened everything the fuck up.
Yeah, everything's got to be like Flash. Is kind of looks like he's just a jokester throughout. Aquaman looks like some kind of rock star really throughout the whole movie. Batman, I mean, I like Affleck looks kind of like this kind of just bewildered, like, oh, you crazy kids kind of guy. I don't know, it's just funny. And it's going to be heavy on Wonder Woman just because of how well Wonder Woman did.
Oh, this movie's going to be a miss, but I may love it for that. Like, I'm
fully like BVS. We all wanted to be so much because we were waiting for that, Batman versus Superman for so long. This, I think we're all just going to go in and be like, fuck it, let's just kill something. Let's kill the flying fucking demon guy, whatever shit. Let's just have a good time.
And your last one, Marty, was Star Trek.
Oh, God. Last Jedi. I had to watch the worst half football of all time just to wait to see that. And of course, I'm excited. It goes beyond it. But it looks like it's kind of a dual kind of story we're telling with Rey and Kylo trying to find their way and where they belong in this. Is Kylo feeling towards the light? Is Rey going towards the dark? I think there's a lot of misdirection in the trailer. I think when we're hearing people talk, we think they're talking to one person, but they're probably talking somewhere else. There was there was the really sappy, I saw Stefan actually put it on Facebook that he thought the Leia scene in the trailer was too, was kind of trying to make something
exploitative.
But I mean,
no offense to D, I think that's bullshit. But
you wouldn't be able to show her at all then, and she's just the main part of the movie.
Yeah, like I love D, but I think that's bullshit. Like, if she's a main character, she's going to be in the trailer. And if there's a scene where he was supposed to shoot her and he doesn't, that's going to be in the trailer. Like, you can't, like, what are you going to do? She's just not going to be there at all? Like, no, fuck no. It's fucking Princess Leia. Of course she's in the trailer.
There was some, people are yelling about the Porgs, worrying that they're the new Ewoks or something. But I'm not as upset about that yet. I'm willing to give them the doubt there. But I'm really
with the Chewbacca thing. Really, you didn't shake your head just a little bit.
I did. I actually posted a reaction video on Twitter if you guys want to watch, just me like showing my face as I watched the trailer. And at that point, I was like, oh, not even so much that I was upset about it, but I know like, oh, people are gonna get pissed off about this thing. Poe Dameron looks like the new leader of the Resistance. There's a really cool Boyega versus Phasma fighting scene that looks really cool. I mean, they showed a lot, but there's still huge parts of the movie that we haven't seen yet. Del Toro's character we still haven't seen. We didn't see like Mascanad. We didn't see Hux or anything. We saw a little bit of Snoke. Snoke is again the voiceover of the thing. We got one shot of him, so he's not going to be in hologram form in this like the first one. So we'll see him. I mean, I got my tickets already. I'm pretty excited. So,
for me, Pacific Rim 2. I liked Pacific Rim 1. I wasn't in love with it. I think I liked it more than most people did. There was a lot of hate towards that movie. This didn't do much for me. It looked like a sequel. So I mean, it's probably gonna be some dumb fun, some fighting, some monsters, and some giant robots. And as Jamil mentioned, if you're into that, then cool. But it looked like a sequel, a bigger, badder, bigger monsters from the original, and more fighting and robots, and all that stuff.
My argument for Pacific Rim is this: everybody say, "Well, it's just like monsters fighting robots," but we don't get that often in America. Like you get in Japan with like a smaller budget. Like we don't get like a big budget American made movie with like giant myths fighting giant monsters. Like I think the premise is kind of unique just for it being an American movie and not some Japanese movie.
And yes, Gorkle, if it says part 2, it usually is a sequel. Yeah.
I'm not even sure if I got this out. It might not even be. It's Pacific Rim something. I'm not even sure it's part 2.
Yeah, for lack of a better term, it is
Pacific Rim Uprising.
Justice League, whatever. Like nothing in this trailer made me.
It was the same stuff.
I was gonna go see it. Yeah, there's nothing. To me, it was okay. A little bit more footage, but nothing. I was gonna go see it anyway. So
yeah, they showed. The only difference in this one is that they showed Henry Cavill but in a dream sequence.
And see, that's what they should have done all along. Is it's like, oh well, Henry Cavill's in it, but it's just going to be like dream sequence stuff, But the fact is that they put his fucking logo. They put the Superman logo on Unite, and it's just so he's not.
They completely nerfed his death before that movie even came out. Before BVS, they completely nerfed. Why? Look, if you're going to kill him, why even? I mean, if you're going to break him back and tell everybody, why even kill him in the first place? Right. But I'm not going to start on that. I'm not.
You'll be back. You'll be back when we talk about Justice League, so you can do that. And Star Wars, whatever. I'll see it.
Hurtful. You're taking over Abe's snark, I see.
Yeah, well, everyone wants Abe back. We have Halloween kind of episodes. We have horror episodes coming up this month. I'll try to get him back for at least one of those. We'll see what he's up to.
And once again, Abe, for the record, Abe is not here because we don't want him here. Let's just put that out there.
We don't have to keep saying that. We don't have to keep saying that. People understand that.
The reason he's not here because Abe actually. I want to come forward and say Abe sexually harassed me several times in the past.
It's true. It's so true.
And I felt uncomfortable, and finally I had to speak up for myself that he's really a nasty man. He's just a nasty, nasty man.
Oh, jeez.
Love you, Abe.
I got one last quick topic. I saw.
You saw the pony movie.
No, I did not. I did not see the pony movie. My wife.
Oh,
you
sent the wife to that one.
I did not. No. Listen,
I knew it was going to happen. I knew you was going to have a breaking point.
Bullshit. No. I was ready to do it. We gave Annie the option of who she wanted to see the movie with. She chose Aaron.
Oh, was that hurtful?
No, of course not. I see all these movies with her.
How happy were you?
Well, I got to spend time with my other daughter, which I typically. Well, here's the thing: I usually spend a lot of time with Annie. I don't spend as much time with Vera, my youngest daughter. So it was nice for a change to switch it up, and everyone had a good time. My thing is, and I saw Jamil's co-host Jack Random post this is about the Rick and Morty Szechuan sauce fiasco. So I wanted to give my my anecdote of that day because Friday night I went out with a couple friends and had a little too much to drink. So Saturday I was pretty recovering, if you will, and one of the McDonald's that was going to have the Szechuan sauces was right in Patterson, which is like 15 minutes away from where I live. So I said to Annie, I was like, oh, you want to go to McDonald's? We'll just swing by. And my whole thing was like, okay, listen, I'll go there. If there's no line, we'll head in to see what it's all about. And if there's a line, then at least I can say it's like, wow, this is crazy, and take a picture or something like that. So I did, and we went there, and I don't know, there's like 300-400 people outside of this McDonald's.
Wow.
And it was almost a revolt. Cops were there. It was ridiculous. And to me, it's just like, so I turned to Annie when we get there. It's like, so let's just go to another McDonald's and I'll get some sriracha sauce instead. It boggles my mind that people were getting so violently angry and protesting about a goddamn Szechuan sauce when there's so much other horrible shit in this world that they can't unite and get mad about. So to me, again, like I love Rick and Morty as a show.
This is why we lost the election.
I love Rick and Morty as a show, and I know the fan base gets a lot of shit. Like I get that, and a lot of it is deserved after seeing what happened. is something that's supposed to just be fun. It's like you go there, and now McDonald's screwed the pooch. They sent 20 packets of this sauce to the participating restaurants. So they kind of knew that they were going to create this like shitstorm. To the fact that, there's like people posting pictures at Burger King afterwards, like, well, guess where I'm going now from now on, So McDonald's really exacerbated the issue. But to just see people, like, to me, is like, and even thinking, it's like, even if there was only 20, and, fine. If that's what they decided to do, that's what they decided to do. But to get violently angry and demand Szechuan sauce and be serious about it.
Now, I've never seen Rick and Morty, but it seems like these people miss the point of Rick and Morty. From everything I know about it, it seems like they're just terrible fans of the show.
We're not a smart people.
Let me again. I can't speak. I hate speaking in generalizations and saying the fan base is terrible, because I'm part of that fan base, and I enjoy the show.
Well, no, not the whole fan base, just the people who are acting out. It seemed like they misunderstand what Rick and Morty is about.
Yes, and I think that was the article that Jack had posted on Facebook. Was the people that were getting angry about this just do not understand the spirit of the show and what it's all about. So
it kind of reminded me of the Breaking Bad fans who root for Walter White. Like, they just completely missed the point. Or the people who love Scarface, who like they just completely missed the whole point of what the hell it's trying to say.
Oh, Gurkle saying I'm just a bad person and to deal with it, so I think that's a good way to end another episode of the Movies and Stuff show. Please make sure to like this video, subscribe to us, follow us at Movies and Stuff show on Facebook. And on Twitter, Marty will probably have some videos over our faces of past episodes.
Yeah,
probably last week's Blade Runner.
And just like last week, we talked about the different charities. Are in the comments over in the description if you need to donate to, Las Vegas people still, Puerto Rico still in a shit show. I mean, despite the fact that they got.
But our president fixed that. He said he fixed it.
He fixed
it's
it.
all fixed.
It's fixed.
Marty, did you hear?
So if anybody wants to help out, we put some links in the comment section. Just give what you can. And USA apparently lost to
Trinidad
and Tobago.
So they're not in
the World Cup.
What is it? Is it Trinidad and Tobago, or is it just Trinidad?
And Tobago.
Oh, both. See, that's why. Sides. And that's why. There was 2 against 1.
Fair, really. Yeah,
so,
it's not fair.
But Iceland is in. So
Iceland's in.
We can root for Iceland, right? I mean,
so USA lost to a country of about 30 people. And
and all of them play soccer, and all of them are really good, apparently.
There's only so much you can do.
We will be back next Tuesday at 9 p.m. I think we have a retro review of The Howling set for next week. We'll see if we end up doing that or something else. We'll try to get Abe on. I'll talk to him, see if he'll return next week. If not, we'll get someone on. Jamil, I know your site, the Supernauts, is still down. Do you guys still plan to get a show out?
We actually have one in the box, and we're recording another one tomorrow morning. So we'll have 2, hopefully, over the next couple of weeks. We're trying to find ways to release it that's not on the damn website right now. Hopefully the website will be up soon.
No, if you want to just post them on our YouTube channel, just let us know. We can put some, we can put it together for you and post it. And
you want all 5 of our fans? You can have all 5
That's
of our
fine.
fans.
That's fine. That's fine. We can have a little section called the Jack Random Temporary Podcast section, and you let us know. We'll hook you up. And all right, we're gonna contact Talia. We're gonna try to get Talia on. So.
There you go.
And the last point, Detective D, the story about Arnold tricking Sly Stallone into acting in Stopper My Mom Will Shoot. Really funny story of old story between Arnold and Sly and their feud, and how Arnold tricked him into doing that movie. Funny story.
Also, just announced Sly is taking over Creed 2, so that movie will undoubtedly suck. Good night, everybody.
Oh, bye.
Why? Like they was on such a good roll. Why would you do? They couldn't pay Ryan Coogler enough money to come back.